When you start making low-quality cars, it may be difficult to know where to start. So today, I'm going to take you step by step how to make good-looking cars inside of Blender. Alright, so the first and kind of most important step is gathering reference. If you don't have good reference, you really won't be able to make a good-looking car. So the first step, if you're making a car that already exists, you can go find some good blueprints online. So you can get these from a range of sites, or just go to Google, type in the name of the car and then blueprints at the end of it, and you'll get the front, side, back, top, like this kind of the views that you need to see literally every single side. And it's a lot easier than having to recreate it from some images, because you won't really get the good proportions and all of that. Having the front and the side views help a lot. Having just those blueprints and no other references will give you quite a few issues. You have a lot of pieces that you don't really know what's happening until you get the actual reference images. So what I like doing is setting it up in Blender and then grabbing PureRef, which is a bit like an image reference program, chucking a bunch of references of the car, the actual car itself, just so when I run into parts like that, not knowing how specific parts of the car work, or how this part bent and stuff like that, you can actually see it a lot better on the actual photography, not the blueprints. So I'm not sure why, but everyone seems to sort of just modeling the hood. I don't know if it's just because the front of the car, so you can kind of just set the width and everything, but everyone seems to model the hood first, and I do too. Basically, add in the plane, add a mirror modifier because you want to mirror it. Also, enable auto mirror, great add-on. Basically, what you're going to do is just get the shape. Usually, it can be broken down to just a cube, or you can add some edge loops with Control R just to get those shapes. Now, on some cars, they will have some different bumps, or they'll have a little raised part for air, depending if it's a race car or normal car. So, just to do that, you can either just add more edge loops, or you can inset part of it with R. Inset is a really useful tool, and you'll use it quite a lot when you're working on cars. Now, once you've got a good looking hood shape, what you can start doing is extruding down the sides. Now, there's two different methods that I use when making cars. So, two kinds of topologies you can have are either like this. So, basically, you can see we have our wheel well here. Then the thing is, we have the topology kind of flowing along this direction over this face here, and the rest of it also kind of does this, kind of just goes this direction, so it all flows backwards. But then you can see here, we have this kind of square that we've cut out, and then you can see the faces kind of radiate outwards like a sun. So this way is kind of decent. You kind of just easily generate all the faces you need. But the only problem with it is when you take it from a different angle, then it doesn't kind of have the same smoothness that you would have from the other method. You can see it has this nice flow, but then it kind of gets messed up by this little section over here. It kind of just disrupts the flow of it. Kind of it's fine over here, it's kind of in the front, but just this little section kind of really just doesn't look that nice. Now you can mess around with the topology a bit to kind of get it to work, but you could also just try the other method, like this. You can see all I've done is I've had the same flow along the whole way, and it doesn't disrupt with the wheel wells. It kind of just cuts into it, which just makes it look so much nicer and has that better flow in it. Another thing you want to do on these wheel wells is something like a rim. So it's basically just a part that kind of sticks out. I quite like the look of these. So basically the easiest way to do this is, once you've made the shape of your wheel well, just grab the knife tool and then make it slightly thicker. Just kind of taper it towards the ends. Grab the inner edge and just move it out, and there you go. You kind of just already have this little lip that just kind of frames the wheel wells itself, which I quite like, and it's very simple to add. Cool. Making the lights for the cars are pretty simple. Now there's two kind of types I would run into. Is if you're making the round ones, you kind of have the ones that are actually built into the actual mesh. So this would be it's extruded in, and then you can kind of inset it and make that into the light. Now, the easy way to do this is just take that face and then use the Loop Tools add-on built into Blender, really good. And you can change that to a circle. It's a very easy way to just make a circle instead of you just have 8 vertices, 6 vertices. Just turn them into a circle very easily instead of having to manually shape it, and it won't really look circular, or having to add in a circle and merge all the vertices together. It can be quite confusing. So just take your square that has 6 vertices and then just turn it into a circle with Loop Tools. Very good add-on. The other way is just add in a circle and kind of trying to embed it into the thing. So some will work like that. But if you have a more modern car, what I'd usually do is use the knife tool. So if you have your shape, usually it'll be on the hood, and then it would have like a sharp edge, and then on that edge you would have the thing. So all you'd really have to do is just use a knife tool and cut like an edge around it, and it'll work quite well. Low poly is all about getting the simple shape. Just break down the shape as simply as possible, and that's kind of how it will look on low poly. And you can always add like more details later. Just get a decent base. So just like start, like just annotate your reference, just take it into like Photoshop or some other drawing program, and then just draw over it. Just break the shapes down into the simplest forms you can. Now with your backlights, it's pretty similar to the previous one. Just add a different material, make it red, and you're kind of done. This video is sponsored by Skillshare. I'm always trying to learn new skills and software. My brain just kind of works that way. Now, improving those skills kind of just makes it like nicer and more enjoyable for me. Enjoying making it and also making something that looks nice you can show to other people is quite cool. So that's why I use Skillshare. It's really nice having just like a platform that you can open up, and all the classes are just like about creative stuff that you found really interesting. There's no other like distractions or anything like that. So most classes are short, so if I want to learn about a topic, I can sit down like within an hour. I've learned some like really cool new things. Personally, I've been learning about like video production and productivity to kind of like streamline my video making process and just have more free time. The two classes have been from Ali Abdel and Thomas Frank. They've been some really good stuff. Next, I'm diving into After Effects to make some like really cool graphics for my videos. It's always been a software I've kind of wanted to learn, and they just have some really good courses and like short workshops to give like all different like new styles and stuff to kind of improve on it. So yeah, looking forward to that. So if you're learning new software or like a new skill, click the link down below to get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Back to the video. Making the windows is pretty easy. So you can see like here, it's just like some inserted and stuff. So let me show you kind of how to do it. Okay, cool. So this is a decent example over here. The cool tool we're going to use is called Inset, and how we're going to use it is for like each of these parts. So firstly, what you need is to kind of have the general shape. So you can see here, like I'm going to take these front ones. There's going to be like one, or these going to be 2 windows. Maybe you can even do one here, and then one on the back, and then one on the front. So what you're going to do is each one's going to be like on its own. So you just take it, go R for Inset. Now you can see if you're doing the front window, you still have this gap down the middle, which you don't really want. So to fix this, just press B on your keyboard, and you can turn on boundary, and now you can see it just insets on that edge and doesn't do the middle. Cool. Now, problem is I've clicked off and I don't really know the number, because I need to copy the number to every single one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click over here at the bottom left, and then open the thickness panel, copy that number. So now when I do the rest of them, I can paste in the same number and get the same thickness of inset on every single window. Cool. So say you just have them now. Now you want to extrude it in, but if you extrude, sometimes you can like not work, or you kind of have like issues like this one where kind of like it doesn't really go inwards. So the best way to do this actually is to inset it, which is kind of counterintuitive because you see like that. But if you look here, we can change the thickness back to 0, but then you can also see there's a depth value. So the thing is, if we play with this value, you can see it goes in and out, and it's actually like a better version of extruding for the windows. So you can see there, we kind of get them all in quite well. And yeah, that's the easiest way to make your windows. Cool. Something I didn't really do with my cars that I made today, which you can try out. I don't know if it'll work well, but basically what you can do is like use, if you look at a normal car, around a lot of the stuff that will have like a seam, which I don't really add, but like you could do that very easily just by beveling it, and either one just adding another color, or doing the same tool like the inset and then kind of just bringing it in. So you would have that actual like physical gap that you would have on a lot of cars. You can try it out, see if it looks nice. Just experiment. Some things can work really well, some things can work really badly, and it can just change per project. So yeah, just kind of test it out and see what happens. This was quite cool when I was modeling my car. It had this like sort of metal grate piece that kind of went down the whole back, which was actually quite fun to make. Basically all it is like a cube that's been extruded out and then extruded down to make this like nice curve, and then just use an array modifier to duplicate it along. You can just change like the Z and the X like offset, and then you kind of got this like nice looking thing. And yeah, I actually quite like the look of it. Cool. And detail that can really make it look a lot nicer is adding the exhaust. So I don't know much about how car exhausts work or like what they're supposed to look like, but you can usually just get away with like a circle that's extruded back Usually they're like smaller and they like get bigger. I don't know how race car ones look, but yeah, it's just kind of just like a small little circle and then extrude out to a bigger one, and you can kind of like extrude them together and join it to like a box. That's what I did, and it turned out looking pretty decent. So making spoilers are quite easy. So all I'm going to do is to take this one and make it into having a spoiler. All I'm going to have to do to do that is I'm just going to go Shift H, this is Shift A, add a cube, and then scale this down. Then what I can do with this is take it out, and we kind of get like the same like thickness you want, kind of maybe a bit thinner like that. Cool. Then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go add an edge over the middle so we can mirror it. I'm just going to delete the left side, add a mirror modifier. Okay. Then I'm just going to extrude it slightly. This is going to be the part that we extrude down and then extrude out again, like that. So with this, we can just take this up and then there, and then just grab this face and extrude it down, like that. You can see, you've already kind of got the general shape of it. Then you can kind of do extra things just to taper this. You can like do G twice to edge slide to like make parts like thinner, to kind of make it like more aerodynamic. You can do like there, or even just edge slide the whole thing like this. Just grab the vertices, edge slide it like that. Or you can even do the same thing kind of here, just extrude it out and then extrude it up for kind of the edges. You just look at some references to see kind of how like each spoiler works. Cool. Then we come to the materials and the lighting. So materials, you can kind of play around with the different things. You'll want to set your materials up depending on your lighting, like your environment, because like it's not real life. We can push the different look, and you can make it look quite nice just by messing around with stuff. Usually the three things you'd be on play with is the roughness, the metallic, and the specular. So roughness and metallic you kind of already get, makes it shiny, and then metallic will make it like darker and make it look more like metal. And then the specular basically means how much the material is affected by the light. So the thing is, if you have a specular of 0, then you're not going to have that much light affected on the mesh. But if you have a lot of specular, so specular of 1, it will like be affected quite a bit by the lighting. And sometimes just messing around, depending on how dark it is, how your colors are showing up, you can kind of just mess around with those values. Or if you want to make it even better, you can go look up some like tutorials on how to make like materials for proper cars. I don't know how well they'll transfer over because you don't have proper reflections because of the low poly, like all the edges and stuff won't really work as well. And then lighting. All we have to do with lighting is basically add some lights in. Now, you can have some sort of theory behind this, like you have a big key light. So this will usually be like to the left or the right, wouldn't be like directly by the camera, be like offsetted. Look at some reference, you can kind of see how they've done their lighting, or even if you can find the actual studio shots to see how they've done it. You may have to play with them, like the roughness and stuff of your materials, so that your lighting doesn't show up too much in the reflections. So usually the kind of theory behind it is have like a key light to like one side, and then have a rim light, which is the one at the back. That kind of just like gets the edge just to make it stand out from it. Then if you want to make it just like stand out a bit and fill in a bit of those dark areas, just add in an HDRI and change the brightness to be quite low. This is an easy way just to like make the lighting just look a little bit better, and you can change the rotation and stuff to get like the sun to match or whatever. Or you can even find like a studio lighting setup from an HDRI. I recommend using Polyhaven. They have very good HDRIs. It's really the only site I use for HDRIs, but yeah. Or if you're making an outdoor scene and you want to make it look nice and you have your whole environment, then you can kind of just start messing around with like HDRIs and like big sun lamps and stuff like that, and still like trying to get that like kind of look of having the studio-ish lighting. Have your big key light, which would be sun, maybe have some sort of reflection so it kind of gets that rim light or the light behind it, and you can kind of mess around with the lighting quite a bit to kind of have it stand out quite well from the background, without having to get that studio lighting set up. If you want to learn more about my modeling workflow and how I like make kind of basically any shape, click over here to see that right now. Cheers.